Welcome to Turning Point. I'm your host, Blaine Bertsch, co-founder and CEO at Dryrun Cash Flow Forecasting Software, where we help the office of the CFO leave spreadsheets behind and model everything from cash flow through to complex scenarios with clarity and control. And joining me today is Josh Sizemore, a longtime entrepreneur in the CPG space who is helping to launch FeastFast today to deliver safe and healthy diabetic snacks. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thanks, Blaine. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So we were talking before the show a little bit, and you mentioned, like, I know you've been involved in the CPG space for a long time. You launched a ton of different different products, but I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning. Where was the first, I guess, time that you thought, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to dip my toe into this entrepreneurial space?
That's a good question. So I can go way back, and me and my best friend I think we were in or sixth grade, and we talked his dad into building us a card shop out of a shed. And so we loved basketball cards. We loved playing. That's what we did, was we played basketball, and I played basketball, through college, etc. But we had probably 10,000 basketball cards, and we were selling them in classrooms. So we were like, why don't we just take that shed and have your dad build it, and we can set up shop? And we literally did, and we was making like $500-600 a week as like
Nice.
11-year-olds from people around the community, from kids in the community. So that was pretty cool. That was probably definitely my first like toe dip into the entrepreneurship. And then, fast forward, it's just, I think my mom, and my grandpa on my mom's side was he owned the first TV line, owned the first telephone line in our little small town. And so it could be, a little bit of inherited stuff. My mom, she had a really big scrub shop. She's been in the medical field for 40 years. She's retired now, but she had, at some point along the way, she had a scrub shop, and I helped her with that when I was in 16, 17. So that was cool. And then, I moved from Kentucky. I lived in a town of 900 people. So I moved as soon as I could. I moved out to Miami and started my career in retail, and, just wanted to work my way up as fast as possible. And did so. Moved to LA and had some big jobs with Shinola and Lacoste. And, those were great in their own way, but kind of got burnt out. And then that's when I jumped into more consumer goods, and specifically beverage. I was living in Detroit at the time, and my buddy called me. He's like, I just bought this brand called Original New York Seltzer. It was, $200 million brand in the 90s. Really ahead of its time. It went bankrupt. Crazy story on how he got it. The owner was kind of a kook, I think, but ultimately he found a way to get it. And he called me. He's like, hey, you want to come out and try to build this brand for me? And I was like, yeah, I'll try. So I jumped kind of head first into that. And first thing I did was hire some really great beverage folks that can be my mentors and also kind of help me steer the ship. But it was such a valued and heritage brand, and had a great stigma behind it. And so it was super easy to get back into retail and distribution and wholesale. I think we went from 0 to 40,000 stores in like a year, which was pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So I just want to circle back a little bit, because you had these experiences, and like, as I talk with entrepreneurs, this is very common. It's like these experiences start to stack up, and it's, entrepreneurs always got that eye out for opportunity. And, it's like, that's oftentimes what, it's like, oh, good opportunity over here, over there, over there. And you start zigzagging back and forth. And you mentioned, kind of the burnout from working for the big brands, but there must have been, like, what was some of the foundational things that you grabbed from there that went, okay, I'm prepared to go and take on this bankrupt company and see if we can get it back and going.
Yeah. I mean, I prepared. I don't know if I said that to myself. I think you just have, and then, to your point, there was an opportunity, and I think being an opportunistic, probably person with that mindset, I felt it was I guess I felt it was time to like just take a leap and try something different and new. And,
Hmm.
I trusted my friend, and, um, like, the burnout was happening. So it just felt at that time it was good timing to like kind of do something else,
Yeah.
so whether I was prepared or not, I definitely wasn't prepared for the beverage thing, but I was prepared to make hopefully good enough decisions to move us forward in the sense of whether it be operationally or culturally or, you know, manpower or whatever it needed to be. I felt like I could be nimble and tackle that head on, I guess.
Yeah. I want to dig into this one a little bit because the companies are under a lot of pressure right now. You see it everywhere. There's a lot, and I'm quite interested in how you took a brand that had essentially failed, but you guys saw opportunity, your friends saw opportunity, and you actually figured out there's a path forward. There's a way that we can actually get a little bit of momentum, a little bit of wind at our backs again. Um, just talk a little bit to that of, you show up first day and you're like, okay, we got a
Yeah.
problem here. How did you just start to move the boulder, like that massive rock in front of you to get to the point, like you said, where you got to 40,000 stores, where you're actually in 40,000 stores?
Yeah, so I think a couple things to take note of. One, I move really fast with anything I do. Like I go hard and fast, and like I don't stop until something gets done. And if I tell you I'm going to do something, 100% it will get done. And then to the point of like taking a failed brand, it did fail because it went bankrupt, but it only failed because of the founder.
Mm,
They actually got an offer from AB for 400 million to acquire the brand, and he didn't want to sell, but AB was their exclusive distributor, so they pulled their distribution, and ultimately he went bankrupt.
mm,
So, in that sense, the product was great. He was just a dumbass and didn't really take note of it. I don't know. I don't want to say he was
yeah,
dumb, but hearing from my friend on what he had to go through to get the rights to the trademark from him, yeah, it was out there.
yeah,
So, but just jumping in day one is just like, all right, I got 10 things on my list that I need to do now, and I'm going to try to do them as efficiently and as fast as possible. You
yeah,
know, got to buy a bottling facility. Okay, that's a big one. So that was number one. Hire a couple great beverage guys. That's number two. Like talk to distributors. That's number three. Talk to retailers. That's number four. Like and the list went on and on. So it's just getting everything knocked out as fast as possible.
mhm.
And that's how I continue to do. That's how I continue to live today and work today.
Well, and I imagine at that point too, like the time is of the essence because people recognize the brand, and I imagine you don't want it to disappear because you would start to lose the equity that's been built up over all that time.
Yeah. Well, so the brand hadn't been around for 10 years. So there's been a long period of time where nobody
Mhm.
saw it for many years.
Oh wow.
And so that was really the only thing I was like concerned about. It was, well, how will this be adopted back into consumer behavior? Uh, the retail channels, the distribution channels, like, should we go retail? Should we go food service? Should we do this? So there's many questions and unknowns, especially
Hmm.
from a bankrupt brand. Once you learn, I didn't know like it only went bankrupt because of uh, the guy's faulty, whatever he did. It wasn't a bad product. So when I learned that consumers, I mean, and retailers loved it, I was like, yeah, this could be an opportunity for us to kind of strike quickly.
Hmm.
Um, Bringing an old brand back that everyone loved. It sold through really well, especially in California. And so we did. We hired, two or three brokers, and, got, put their feet to the pavement and started calling on retailers, and it just started happening.
Hmm. Feels like a monumental lift, but it must have been pretty gratifying to look back after, a couple of years and go, yeah, we got the tailwinds behind us a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's always gratifying when you can have to dos to get checked off, you know? as an entrepreneur, this was kind of my first, I was being an entrepreneur and going outside the box, but it's not your brand. I didn't create it from scratch. I didn't, I was just put in a scenario where I needed to build it kind of from scratch.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a little different. But yeah, I mean, I stayed on until 2022. Uh, that's when we sold the brand. But during those years, I made a big move and moved to Kentucky and started my own water brand, during that time. So
Well, yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. What was what opportunity did you see there? And like, how'd you say, okay, this is the time. This is where I'm going to take a bit of a leap and create something else so that just on my own, right?
yeah, it's super interesting how it came about. I was meeting with the board of a university, and one of the board members wanted to chat with me afterwards and go over like a bunch of businesses. Yeah, just get some advice or whatever. And so one of the things he mentioned was that he owned this aquifer in Tennessee that had a bottling facility on it with three other partners. And he said the water was amazing, produced 10 million gallons a day. And I was like, this guy's full of shit. There's no way this is true. And so we decided to meet again the next day, and he brought me all the documents, and it was all legit. And then when I saw it, I was just like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Like, so I asked him if he could meet with me one more time the next day. And I went home that night or back to my hotel room, and I literally built the business plan for the first 5 years, created the deck, went through the financials, like created the branding, the brand, the name, how we wanted to position ourselves as a premium brand, everything, and brought it back to him the next day and presented it. And I told him this is how much money we need. And if he wants to do it, I'll move back from LA, in 5 or 6 days, and I'll jump in head first. And he said, let's go. And then that was that. And, so that was, built that up for 4 years. That was a really fun time, honestly. Even though it ended badly with a bad divorce and, selling early and all this stuff, but it was a great time. Like I lived actually 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, 15 minutes one way from our plant, and source. And I drove it every day, four
Wow.
years, every day. And unless I was in retail meetings or investor meetings, I was there at the plant, bottling the water, loading the water, it was awesome. So many lessons learned there. And, yeah, unfortunately it ended, not as well as I hoped or could have, for sure. But, yeah, it was great learning experience,
Yeah.
no doubt. Yeah.
Well, and that's the unfortunately, like you hear that all too often too, as I talk with entrepreneurs all of the time, and it's even when things are successful, it can be a real challenge to get it all tied up in a neat bow at the end. That's a
Yeah.
really hard thing to do.
Yeah, and I mean, and success is, that's a big word, right? Like everybody has a different definition, and so
Hmm.
it's, I'm sure some people would look at it and say, "Yeah, man, that's crazy. That was so successful." Me, I was like, "Yeah, we fucked up and fell short."
Yeah, it's the entrepreneurs, I guess, burden is you have a vision in mind, and if you don't reach that, yeah, other people could look and say, yeah, it was a success. Maybe not in my mind. And
Yeah,
sometimes it can be the flip side too, because I've seen that too, where you can have a business and the investors will think it's not a success. It's not the unicorn we wanted,
right.
but the founder actually, yeah, yeah, they get in the black. They get profitable. They build a nest egg. They build a business, and from their point of view, it could be like this is actually wildly successful. So
Yeah,
you're right. Success is a very different everyone views it a little bit differently, and I know as an entrepreneur it's whatever's in your mind is what counts the most, I guess.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And if you're just looking at money, yeah, then you could go up or down. Yeah, was successful or was it not? That's just a point of view of what money equals success. But for me, it was a success in the sense of the experience was awesome. So
Yeah.
that was definitely a success.
Yeah, and those experiences are so valuable. That's that's generally what powers the entrepreneurs forward and helps them find that next opportunity as well. And
Yeah.
so what did like so this sort of went a little sideways at the end there for you. What was your next sort of endeavor that you
So
tackled?
yeah, so I moved back to LA and started an e-commerce platform called CBD.com. And it was kind of this Amazon for CBD brands. We literally built it on Amazon's, but outline. It would look just like Amazon when you logged in, etc. So we had all CBD brands probably in the world, or 90% of them. And it was in LA, and it was still a pretty gray area at the time. So figuring out marketing, especially online, direct to consumer, was a little difficult. We did it. We did it pretty well. But we started adding components of like hospitality and retail into the mix to ensure that your brand would get a X amount of more exposure, give us a little more revenue in the bank. Started doing same day deliveries in LA, which was great. And then we did it for a couple of years, and then sold it to Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart's crew. Wasn't a great exit, but good experience. And from there, I kind of did a right turn and moved up to San Francisco and became president of 1-800 Got Junk. I don't know if you know that brand, but
Yes, I think I've heard of it. I don't know just from seeing the trucks go by, or if
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I
yeah,
heard a podcast. It may have been that one on how I built this or something like that. I don't know if they were on that show or
yeah. Yeah, I
it
don't know.
sounds very familiar.
Brian, yeah, Brian, he's from Canada. He was the one, he's the one that founded it. But yeah, I mean, it was, 25, 26-year-old business, very turnkey, great profit margins,
Mhm.
so it was great in that aspect, but there was no go-to-market strategy. There was no marketing pivots. There was no, things like innovation. It was just hire great GMs and have great customer service, and your franchise will do 25% net, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
But again, I was just kind of hanging out, making sure that our GMs was good. It wasn't nothing special. So
yeah,
did that for a couple of years, got bored honestly, and then jumped into the kombucha business and started a brand called BK and Co. And it was the first of its kind powdered kombucha, and
okay,
built it up to a couple hundred million. And the board wanted me to move to Wisconsin and take the whole operation to Wisconsin, and I just didn't want to go to Wisconsin, honestly. So I helped him find a new CEO and kind of stepped away from that, and was advising. Go ahead, sorry.
I want to circle back a little bit here because what I find really interesting. Again, we were talking about opportunity, and you went from uh you kind of went from a brand to suddenly to like an online community, which is that's a totally different model, right? Like a
Yeah,
completely different model. And I know myself, I came from, I came from, owning a creative agency to starting a software company and thinking I knew more about it than I actually did, and that's because, but it's like, hey, I know enough, right?
yeah,
And sometimes enough to be dangerous. And then you go to, like, okay, we got to get a go to market strategy for this junk hauling business, and then back over to a consumer product business. how did you how did you navigate and prepare and actually stay on top of such diverse changes in different business models and all the different problems that come with them?
yeah. I think so. With CBD, I was again trying to put even though we were online business, I try to gear it. I tried to put my hard retail hat on and consumer goods spin on it to where we were physical and in market and in hotels, and now we're delivering the goods to you. We're not just online. So in that sense, I kind of made those things happen. Um, and then with When I Heard Got Junk, it was, it aligned with my ethos, which was culture, employee experience, customer experience. Like that's got to happen. So we were super aligned on that stuff.
Hmm.
So it was easy to jump in and like make sure that things were happening in that sense. And really that's the business, because it's such a seasoned business. They're already, the operations is already turnkey, and you just really got to focus on the culture and the experience. And if you're good at that, then you'll thrive.
Hmm.
So, and then, jumping into the beverage, I felt very confident at that time with, as far as the kombucha, I felt very confident that I could create a brand around this new innovative concept, because it tasted really good. And I hate kombucha, but it was really good. So we had really good
Yeah.
flavors, and then we launched, and yeah, it took off.
So where did that idea come from? That was you got connected with the innovator that actually invented this powdered kombucha? Or?
Yeah. So Cary Foods created the powder, and they're the biggest, first or second largest food ingredient company in the world. Um, and they're also in Wisconsin. And, yeah, I got connected with them. They had this opportunity and had some, VCs behind it that wanted to put it in market, and one thing led to another. And that's when I built the brand.
I'm a little curious on the just a totally different side note here. How do they do powdered kombucha? Because kombucha is um the health benefits that come with it. I always had it pictured as more of like a fresh product. How did they make that sort of transition? And I'm more curious on the actual product side, because I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, so kombucha is basically fermented vegetables that create a pre and probiotic. Well, not even a prebiotic, but just a probiotic.
Okay.
So that's really what kombucha is. And then when you put that liquid that it has been created into another liquid to make it taste better, I mean, in my opinion, none of them taste good as far as the liquid ready to drink drinks.
Hmm.
So they found a way to just remove the process of fermentation and go straight to uh, creating a powdered form of the probiotic. And we were able to also put a prebiotic in this powder. So, if you had, a regular RTD had 1 million MCUs or whatever of probiotics, ours would have 10 billion or whatever. And the same, in this
Hmm.
small stick, and it gives you more bang for the buck. It tastes much better. It's the more value there is skyrocketed versus what you're getting in the store. It's shelf stable. You don't have to keep it cold. So there's so many more benefits to it than a ready to drink.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. Those benefits are that's such, like, as an entrepreneur, that's such an opportunity when you're I would never go into CPG space because I don't know anything about it. But when you're talking about shelf stable and all, and start thinking, oh, look at that, it's like check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. um Great for the entrepreneur, great for the business, but then now you have also on the flip side a way to really market to the consumer and say this is also really easy for you, and it's got the benefits. It's like the benefits. Everyone wins. It's a win-win, both you and the consumer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 100%. Like it's rare that you find something that's innovative, but also can scale easily without, and not have too many roadblocks. I think the only hurdle was just having the consumer can understand what the powdered piece of it was, right?
Hmm.
Because to your point earlier and to your question, like you thought kombucha was something different. How can it be a powder, right? So that was really the only kind of hurdle, and the marketing uh push that we did was, we did like legit commercials on like Hulu, and like, to just to make
Hmm.
sure people understood exactly what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I find it really fascinating. It's just a space I hear a lot about, but I don't know much about it. It's not one I'm exposed to. Um, so where did you go from there? Like that was a big win that, you know, sold, and now next next thing up. What's the next opportunity you saw?
So from there, I was just doing a lot of advising uh, other startups or big businesses. And about, I don't know, 9 or 10 months ago, I got approached by these folks who were um, wanting to put their snacks in the market. They were a doctor and a scientist who had known each other for a long time, and they were overweight and went through this weight loss not program, weight loss journey, I guess. And through that journey, the mechanism they used was fasting and ketosis. Well, um, through that journey, they also wanted to eat snacks that, because all these keto friendly snacks, in the market, like they tried them all, and being doctors, they blood tested themselves right after they tried, and all of them spiked their blood sugar.
Mm,
So they're like, and what people, a lot of people don't understand is if you're in a fasted state or ketosis, your blood sugar and blood glucose has to remain steady and baseline. And if it spikes, you're kicked out of it. So they wanted to create a product a snack product that did not do that. That did not kick you out of ketosis or kick you out of fasting, and didn't spike your blood sugar or insulin. And
mhm,
so they worked on it, and they found something that did. And for 2 years, they, went on this weight loss journey, lost 100 pounds each plus. And then they started this program called Foy Fasting, and started utilizing these, started getting their own clients utilizing these snacks that they were homemade making, really. And
mhm,
they were working. So 9 or 10 months ago, they're like, we want to put this in the market at scale. And someone found me, and this really aligned with my ethos and passions and health and fitness. And I knew the market well. I know the market well, keto. But the one thing that got my attention even more was the fact it didn't spike your blood insulin and your blood glucose. And so that was an opportunity for us to really make a play to be the top snack brand in the world for people with diabetes or pre-diabetics.
mhm,
150 million just in the US, which is insane. And just think, every time you eat a snack or something, you have to check your insulin levels, right? Well, so what if you had a snack that you didn't have to do that? A consistent food product that you could always count on, maintain your insulin levels, not have to worry about it. And that's what we want to be. And
mhm.
we even have a patent on our products, which is crazy. I've never seen one in the food space, but I don't like to get into too much in the weeds on the science and the patent. I just want to make sure people understand that, our products are delicious. They don't spike your blood sugar. And we have 4 SKUs of cookies right now, 4 flavors. We're coming out with cereal and crackers before the end of the year that are even better than our cookies. And yeah, we're here to help these folks, and we think we got a big opportunity to do so.
That's, you know, it's always amazing to hear the stories of people solving their own problem and then seeing opportunity out of solving that problem. In this case, it's really interesting because they solved their own problem, then went and looked and said, "Oh, it actually solves a really big problem with a lot of
Yeah,
people." And I imagine that recognition was somewhere where they thought we need to do something
yeah,
about this. So um, I'm curious a little bit about, like, you've stepped in, you know, really quite recently, and they're just getting started.
yeah.
Um, what, you know, having gone through this a number of times, what are some of the steps that you need to take to say, here's how we're going to get some traction fast, and in even though it's really unique in what I expect would be somewhat crowded space, though.
Yeah, it's a huge crowded space. That's why, having the point of view of a safe diabetic snack kind of sets us apart
Hmm.
from that crowd. But yeah, going back, I mean, they didn't have a brand. They didn't have all they had was some homemade cookies that they've been making, or snacks,
Hmm.
different versions. So one was ensuring that we could have a consistent snack that was consistently not spiking blood sugar. So we tested. We got that. Next was find a co-packer and a co-manufacturer that could create these cookies for us,
Hmm.
and understanding that they also need to be able to create our crackers and our cereal down the line. So, one of my good friends was his former COO of Kind, and he gave me a list of manufacturers, and out of that list, it was a long list. It came down to like two that could actually pull it off, and then it came down to one that could actually pull it off.
Hmm.
So we've been working, so contacting them, making sure that they can do it, and them proving themselves and going through the trials and the samples, and um, figuring out cost and our cogs, and now it's packaging, now it's branding,
Hmm.
creating the the brand, the logos, the packaging, the messaging. And then it's to, when are we launching? Once we launch, how are we going to get it out? It's the marketing team, it's the TikTok team, it's the Google, it's everybody that kind of
Hmm.
hopefully working together to get our name out there, right? So that's kind of how it goes. I have a really great spreadsheet guy that he's ops and finance, and he kicks ass. So he finds every little dollar cent we can save.
Hmm.
Um, and those things will be better as we scale and uh, become get bigger, and be able to order more product from our co-man, etc. But we're in a pretty good place. We launched about 2.5, 3 months ago, and had a good 2 week launch, and then somebody hacked our Meta account and kind of kicked our ass for the next 2 months, and
Hmm.
so we literally had to start over about 3 weeks ago, as far as our ads and stuff. So, but we're starting to pick back up again, and we'll get to where we wanted to be, where we need to be, sooner than later. I know that, and yeah, it's an interesting journey. But once you've done it so many times, like you know, it took me literally about 6 months to create this brand from scratch to in the market.
Hmm.
So, and it's working 24/7, trying to do everything as fast as you can, but as efficient as you can. Um, and yeah, it's fun. It's hard to do, but we think we have a great think we have a great product. And I know we have a great product, and our cereal is actually even better than our cookies, and our crackers are. I mean, I can't believe they taste that good, honestly, and do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So if people wanted to find you guys, like they're listening to the show and I need that product, know someone that needs that product, how should they find you?
Yeah, the product feastfast.co. Just go to the website, check it out, and it's as of September 3rd, we'll be on Amazon, so you can get on Amazon. And for people that go to the website, for your first order, try FeastFast Fam 25, and you get 25% off your first order. So
Terrific. I'll definitely drop that in the show notes. And well, thanks so much, Josh, for being on the show. Really enjoyed it. Really great stories. It was interesting hearing about an area that I don't know that much about, to be honest. So I was quite fascinated with that. I really appreciate your time.
yeah, man, I was glad to talk, and it was nice to meet you. I was glad to be here.
And for those of you out there, if you're a CFO or you're on a finance team and you're still buried in the spreadsheet, please come see us at dryrun.com. We're going to make your spreadsheets basically go away, save you a ton of time, get that accuracy into your forecast, and also give you something that you can present management that they can understand at a glance. So again, we're at dryrun.com.